Hi fashion designer, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to share with you how to make this wired bra pattern, and the band of course it's going to be fitting to your size, so stay tuned if you want to know how it's done. So of course you're going to need your wire that fits you, and of course before we draft the pattern I'm going to mark a straight line. I'm going to try to find the middle point of this wire by actually placing it on top of this line. Right on this side, I'm going to make sure that it's actually the same height, which is 1.5 cm, and I'm going to mark from that side 1.5 cm. And also on the other side, I'm just going to keep my wire stable, and I'm also going to mark on the other side, and just need to make sure also the height is 1.5 cm. So once you're done doing this, now you want to go ahead and mark the center points. I'm going to try to mark it with a marker or a pencil like so. And then as you can see, now this is where I've marked the center point of my wire. Now I'm going to trace around the wire, make sure that the center point is aligned on the horizontal line, and I'm going to mark around the wire. I'm going to extend this line, make it long enough, and then now I've also highlighted my wire line. So we're going to start now by actually extending here by 1 cm. This is to give the wire that freeness when it's actually attached on your bra. So I'm going to mark 1 cm going up, and also on the center front I'm going to mark 1 cm. This is to give ease for the wire. So because the wire tends to move towards the side because of the side tissue on our bust, it moves a little bit back like so. So we want to create an ease to accommodate that. So I'm going to move back by 1 cm, and then from that 1 cm again you're going to move down. And then you want to retrace this point again to the center point of the wire line. And I'm going to take my wire just to make sure that it is nicely traced, and I'm just going to trace it back to the center point like so. So moving along to that, this first line, we're not going to make use of it anymore. For the bridge, you want to mark a straight line right here on the center front, and then next to it I am going to mark 1.5 cm. This is different for everyone, so you go ahead and measure yourself depending on how wide you are open in between your bust. Now I want to go ahead and label the lines. It's going to be A, B, and C. So from A, I'm going to measure this distance between B and C, which is going to give me around 8.5 cm. So I'm going to mark this 8.5 cm from point C plus 1.5 cm. And I'm going to mark it right here, and this is going to be point D. So right on top over here on the wire line, I am going to mark around 2.5 cm. You can go as further as 4 cm, but for me it's going to be 2.5 cm. Then from that 2.5 cm, I'm going to connect it to point D. And now your cradle is complete. So for the band pattern, I am going to mark half of my underbust measurement from point B and subtract 4.5 cm, because the band is going to be cut on a spandex, which is 10%, remove 10% from it, and also the width of the hook and eye. So from point E, I'm going to go down by 3 cm, and I'm going to connect this 3 cm point to point D. So make sure that this new line is the same length as from point D to point E. So from that point 3.5, I am going to mark 5 cm. This depends on the width of your hook and eye. So I'm going to mark 5 cm. And then I'm going to connect it, this 5 cm, to the side. So before I do that, I'm going to mark the center point of this line over here, the new bend line at the bottom, and I'm going to now do the same thing, mark the center line right on the top, make sure that they are aligned together like so, and then go down by 1 cm. I'm going to go down here by 1 cm and then connect this line to the end part of your bend. So now I'm just going to create a curved line like so that it can be very smooth at this part. This is where your strap is going to be attached. So for the elastic band, depending on how wide it is, mine is around 1.5 cm, which is the one that I'm going to add right on the underbust line. So before I do that, on point B, I'm just going to go up a little bit by 1 cm. This will help your bra knot to be lifting or bulky on the center. So if you have that problems with bra, this will actually solve it. So now I'm going to add that 1.5 cm for the elastic. So right here on top, I decided to go up a little bit by 1 cm. I forgot to add the 1 cm ease for the wire. So I'm just going to go up by 1 cm and reconnect it back to the band. So I went ahead to retrace the pattern, and now this is the cradle and this is the band or the wing, and of course this one is the bridge and the wire line. For the caps, you need to measure the first half of your wire line and then the second half of the wire line also. Mark all the numbers down, and then you're going to take quarter of your bust round circumference and then mark a square. Mine is 23 cm by 23 cm. Then I marked the center point of, or divide the square into 4 equal parts. So mine is actually 11.5 cm. So all these 4 squares, they're actually the same size. Don't forget to label your line in an alphabetical order. So on point F, I've marked 4 cm on both sides. And then on point I, I've marked 1 cm. And I'm going to connect this 4 cm point to the 1 cm to create a dot. Now on point G, I'm going to mark 4 cm, and also on point E, I'm also going to mark 4 cm. I'm going to take my curve ruler and just retrace this line to point H, and then I'm going to measure just to make sure if they will fit inside the frame. So this measurement is actually 16 centimeter. So remember the side was 15, so it's a little bit more by half of an inch. So I'm going to reduce it right on the neckline, and it fits. So you want to go ahead and do the same thing when you're drafting your cups. So also here on point E, I went out by 4 cm, and I'm going to reconnect it to point D. And also do the same thing, measure the side and also measure the side for the frame. And if it's more or less, you just have to go on the armhole. Right here it's a little bit less by 1 cm, so I'm going to mark 1 cm right on top of point D. So this side is going to be my armhole. So now I am going to divide the square B and C into 4 equal parts. I'm going to divide, and then right here on this box, right at the bottom, close to point I am going to divide this box again into 4 equal parts. Now I'm going to mark the neckline with a straight line. So I'm going to use a line here to connect these 2 points that I just shown you here on the screen. And then I'm going to use my curve ruler right on this point. That's where I'm going to align my curve ruler just to create the hole. And now this is how the cups look. So I wanted to have a princess seam. So from that point here, I'm going to mark a straight line like so, a diagonal line like so. And then now from these 2 dots at the bottom are going to be closed. So from this line, I'm going to mark at least 1 cm, which is to create a dot. I'm going to mark 1 cm and then reconnect it to that center point, which is close to point I. And then go ahead now and cut out your pattern. So as I cut out my pattern, I'm going to cut out that 1 cm dot that I've created. And also I'm going to close the bottom dot. So I'm just going to close the bottom dot and just cut out that excess paper, and then make sure that you glue this one down. And there we go, our cups, they are complete. Make sure that you do transfer your notches. This will make it easier as you cut this pattern on your fabric. So I've went ahead to add a seam allowance on the lower pattern. So I've added 0.5 seam allowance all around. And as you can see the difference. And don't forget to transfer your notches. And for the upper cup, I've went ahead to add 0.5 seam all around the pattern and also transfer your notch. For the frame or the cradle, everything is put together over here. You can decide to cut this pattern as a one piece or separate them. But then on the center front, it's going to be cut on fold. So on the inside wire line, I've added 0.5 seam, and also on the bridge and right here on top of the band, and except here where you're going to attach the hook and eye, and also at the bottom don't add seam allowance. So these are all the pattern pieces that you're going to need for this bra. See you on the next one.